Hello, folks. Tonight, episode 3, Customizing the Clone Wars. Come on in for another mission. We've taken our sunbonnets off. We are ready to do this. I am your host, Peak Obi-Wan, and along with me, I have my co-host, Brian Fulton, otherwise known as Darth Daddy. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well, thanks.
Excellent.
Yeah, doing all right.
Glad you can join us, folks. We love to do this show, and here it is, episode 3. Tonight, we're going to be talking about 3 episodes. We're going to do something a little different tonight. We would like to talk about 3 episodes and make it maybe a little shorter, or try to go episode by episode and not rush through it. We certainly would love your feedback towards the end of the show. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and certainly let us know how we're doing, because we're just regular guys, right, Brian?
Yeah, we're artists, not podcasters, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best. We've definitely got the artistry end of things, at least semi-solid. But when it comes to the podcasting, we're complete newbies. And, just bear with us as we refine our presentation.
That's very true, very true. But before we go on, tonight it is Sunday and it is Mother's Day. So I want to give my first shout out to all the mothers of Star Wars, all the people who take care of us and have given us a chance to express our fandom. I want to give a shout out to my own mother. How about you, Brian? You got somebody in your life or some fangirls that you know that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, definitely to my mom, my stepmom, grandmother, my sister who's a mom, and I have lots of friends that are moms. So yeah, to all the moms out there, thank you for keeping the human population going.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I can tell you a quick story, man. Growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was great. My mom, I come from a single parent family, and I lived with my mom in the early 80s, and she would come home every single night and give me an awesome toy, a great Star Wars figure, and I thought it was funny even back then when I was a little kid. Sometimes she'd bring me the same character. And I go, oh, no, you just brought me that on Tuesday. Maybe we go get another one. And she goes, oh, we can just take this back. And I'm like, no, how about not? Let me have this one because I wouldn't mind having a double. So hats off to my mom, or sunbonnets off, I should say, or buckets, right? They call them buckets, the helmets. To our moms, happy Mother's Day to everybody, and happy Mother's Day to anybody listening. This is a great thing to get your kids involved with. We certainly love when kids watch our show because it's just a great celebration. We're going back in time. We're celebrating the Clone Wars, and we're going to give our insights along the way. It might be a little rocky, like Brian said. We're just a couple artists, just kind of doing our thing and enjoying the show. So let's get started tonight. Anything else you wanted to say, Brian?
No, I think I got everything pretty much covered. I am having trouble with the camera, where normally it's set up so it just goes back and forth when anyone's talking. I'm realizing that something's going on with the cameraman where I'm having to click back and forth, whenever one of us starts talking, and I don't know how to get rid of that.
Yeah, that happens to me quite a bit on Google Hangouts. We're actually on Google Hangouts, and it eventually goes over to YouTube. So just bear with us as we go.
Yeah.
So. Here we go. Where we left off, or I should say, we are in season 1 of the Clone Wars. and we have been talking about some of the episodes from that season. We've already talked about Ambush, the Malevolence arc, and we talked about Rookies, and that's where we left off. And tonight we're going to be talking about Downfall of a Droid, Duel of Droids, the Duel of the Droids, and Bombad Jedi. I know I don't want to get any booze on that one. We'll try to make it as less Jar Jar centric as possible, but I truly love Jar Jar. I think he's great. So
I always thought of him as the drunken warrior. So, and I was a big fan of Joseph Campbell. I read A Hero of a Thousand Faces for college.
Yeah.
And one of the heroes right there in the book is the accidental hero, the one who, ends up becoming hero, not intentionally, but it could be through clumsiness or, some type of the force.
Right.
But I also, I'll wait till we get to the episode, but I have plenty to say when we get there.
Yeah, I have some good things to say about Jar Jar too, but don't turn us off because of Jar Jar. We will get through it and we will pay it.
We're gonna have plenty of things to talk about, other cool episodes,
right,
when the time comes. So
yeah. So any Jar Jar haters or Jar Jar dislikers, bear with us. We're gonna make it. If you go from our perspective, the way we hope to give you our insight, you're gonna love Jar Jar by the end of this entire series, because he's just an unsung warrior. And the fortune cookie for the third episode will tell you a little bit about where they want it to go, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Tonight, we're gonna start with the Duel of the Droids, and once again, we do show our customs, but these 3 episodes, we don't really have a lot of customs, less than we wanted to show, but you will see some customs tonight while we go along. But we're certainly going to show you some screen caps, and we're going to talk about these episodes. Let's get into it. Duel of the Droids, right? So let's start with the fortune cookie. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so let's get in with fortune cookie. I'm going to share that. Okay, so it says, trust in your friends, and they'll have reason to trust in you. So what is going on in this episode, if you've been following along with us? In the Duel of the Droids, Anakin tracks down a distress call from Anakin tracks a distress call from captured R2-D2 in a secret separatist listening post called Skytop Station. He races off in the twilight with Ahsoka to rescue his droid friend. When they reach the station, they realize that R3-S6, the droid working with Anakin in R2's absence, is actually a spy for General Grievous and is putting their lives in danger. And I just decided to read this from the Clone Wars episode guide. That's kind of a little preface about the episode. What did you think about this episode when we first got into it, Brian?
I thought it was pretty cool because you learn a little bit more about R2-D2, and you find out that, he never had his memory wiped, where I guess that's standard procedure. And in his situation, it may have a lot to do with why he has as much personality as he has, because he never had a memory wipe, and he has all that information, all those memories going back. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool development that we never got before.
Yeah, did you hear recently they were just talking about how George thought R2 was the storyteller? Did you hear that story?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And he was telling the story 100 years after the whole thing to the Journal of the Wills, those people from the early concept story of what George made out for Star Wars. If you ever read the book, the preface or the story, the first few pages talk about the Journal of the Wills, and I thought that was really interesting. R2 is definitely a cool character. For us, Anakin was so kind of bummed out that he lost his droid. And I'm going to go back to the screen caps that we have. And here we have a place that looks a lot like Geonosis, but it's Bothawai. This planet's Bothawai, and they're setting up for an attack on a star, kind of a Star Trek centric type thing, where they're doing a lot of, what would you call it, Brian? Like war tactics in space, kind of thing.
It was like Battleship in Space. Remember that game?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was a pretty cool strategy that they ended up using, where they had the ATTEs on the satellite rocks.
yeah, surprise attack for sure.
It was pretty bold of Grievous when he was saying, "Let's just bust our way through. That way they can't attack us from behind because we'll have the asteroids behind us, and we'll, then they can't get the positional advantage if we go through the rocks."
Yeah, and while they were setting up, just really striking screens on the ship. I really enjoyed those where Ahsoka was. She was kind of manding the. She didn't go out in space, did she?
No, not initially. She was with Rex, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. Or no, she wasn't with Rex. She was
she wasn't with Rex.
She was with Yularen on the space
okay.
on the Star or the Republic cruiser.
Yeah,
I guess they're called Republic cruisers.
Yeah, because Rex was in the ATT, from what I remember.
Do you ever? Are you one of those kind of guys that you have to have everything explained? I've had people tell me, "Oh, how are they out there in space with their clone helmets on, their buckets on?" How do you feel about that kind of? How do you feel about that kind of stuff?
I'm suspension of disbelief. I don't even think about it. I just watch and enjoy.
Yeah, neither do I. I just go with total, absolute fantasy. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy with just having the fantasy and not really having it explained to me. So what I'm sharing here now is during the battle, Anakin thinks he's best at Grievous, and Grievous runs like he always does, and something happens where a piece of metal hits Anakin's ship, and he gets his ship blows up. So he's knocked unconscious, and then it turns out that he loses R2, and I thought this was really funny. I wanted to go to the next picture really quick. He's in the medical bay, and I don't know about you, but I feel like in the early days in season 1, Dave wanted to express emotions and stuff, and I think that's what happened here, where it's just so unbelievably bright.
It's almost like he died and went to heaven.
Exactly, or like he woke up from a coma or something, and it's so ridiculously bright. I think I have one more. Yeah, I do. I mean, look how bright that is. Is it still showing?
Oh yeah, it's like complete. It's like someone cranked the brightness level as much as they can go without losing all definition.
I just thought that was so odd, but I just like I explained, I thought it was them expressing emotion through through the screen. You know what I'm saying? Like he had just woken up from an accident.
Near-death experience.
Yeah, a near-death experience. He saw the white, the white light at the end of the tunnel, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, that I thought that was just a little odd, but anyway, let's move on. This photo, I really wanted to talk about this too. This last week, we shared what was the customizer's name that we shared with the
Glorbs, Glorbes,
and he did this amazing Twilight, and surely it wasn't to this scale, but I thought I'd pop this picture in here just to show you the actual scale of the Twilight. Isn't that unbelievably huge?
I was actually, after I saw that and I started looking at the foam board construction when we showed that. I was like, man, I think I want to start making vehicles, and I think I may try to do the Ghost and try to do the Twilight. If I'm ever going to do vehicles, those would probably be the two I would do. And it was funny when I saw this image. I started watching the episodes again today, and I saw the image, and I saw how large that cargo bay like deck is going off the back that you were just showing.
Right.
Like it's pretty long. It's pretty big.
Unbelievably huge. I just cannot believe. And we were joking earlier before we started the show about how long that ladder was. You know.
Oh, yeah, right.
And what you see right there by the ladder is you can see Ahsoka and Goldie, you know, the traitor.
Wow, I thought that was only Goldie. I didn't even realize Ahsoka was kneeling down. She was
waiting
so
there. And in the episode, you know, here comes Anakin up this big ladder. And it's just like, keep going, man. You're almost there. Keep going.
You think it would just force jump most of it, you know?
Something. Yeah, maybe he could just force jump. Maybe he didn't want to show off in front of his troops, but just the sheer size of that thing. And I really enjoyed the size of Glorb's Twilight.
Me too, because it's like the traditional play version of what we used to get.
Yeah, right. And you know, I thought it was pretty cool, very cool. Thanks for letting us share that, Glorbs. We really
it was killer.
Appreciate your work and
inspiring.
Yeah, inspiring. Yeah, we're definitely going to give more shout outs to people that we feel excel at customizing in the Clone Wars, you know, and people who, like I said in episode 1, are our friends, and we're just having fun here. Just a fun talking about the Clone Wars. It's a great show for us, and we're definitely super fans, don't you think, Brian?
We're what?
Super fans. Super fans of the Clone Wars. Just outrageous fans. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that love the Clone Wars just like us. You know, it's not just kids, but we love kids, you know. Let's bring them in, you know. Come on in and just enjoy this show with us as we bring our insights. So I'm going to go back to our pictures, and there's our Twilight again. And during the episode, they have to go find R2, and they find this Trandoshan scavenger. The ship is called, I think it's called the Scavenger, or maybe it's just what this guy does. This is Ganact. We actually first saw him in the theatrical release. He was actually in Zero's bar. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea. For real?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he
gets around.
Yeah, he does get around. That was one of the greatest portions, I feel, of that Zero element from the theatrical release. I guess we were just so consumed with with Zero himself that we forgot that him, Pun Zignut, which we'll get to earlier or later in the episode, and Salud or Taquito, whichever one it was, all three of those guys are actually in the bar. So it's interesting. So we kind of get a little preview of all three of those guys, and we'll be talking about all of them tonight, actually. So here we have this Trandoshan, and he doesn't necessarily look like Bosk, does he?
No, not by any means. He's much different, actually. Like, he's short, he's fat, where, Bosk is really tall, really lean, and like kind of stocked.
Menacing, and this guy just looks like kind of like a doofus, right?
Well, he's got the big gut,
Yeah.
He's definitely not up to the same physical standards that Bosk is by any means. But, I like that, that they're showing that there's different body types. One of the things I loved about customizing, Elias used to be like, you always like the fat bodies like to customize with. But I kind of do, because I like showing the variations of the different aliens and stretching the limits of our perceptions of them when I make like the street scene figures or
Hmm.
figures that I don't really do anymore. I tend to lean towards regular like characters that we all know. And, but I did used to like the fat bodies
Yeah.
for like you know mixing things up a bit and changing up the background scenery.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into that when we get to the Weekway episodes, because we definitely see a lot of different body types and body sizes in the
Yeah.
Weekways. That was actually really cool, don't you think?
Oh yeah. I definitely like that about it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So we meet this guy, and he has a whole bunch of like droid type things, and this is where we meet my favorite IG-86 assassin droids. And they're all rusted and turned off and everything. And we find out that Goldie actually turns them on to kind of destroy, seek and destroy Anakin and Ahsoka. And they pretty much dispatch them pretty quick. Once they get through it and everything, they realize that they didn't find R2, even though he is actually on board. But they drag it out actually into another episode, so we'll actually get into that here pretty quick. Let me see.
I love the joints on these figures. On those assassin figures, they're great for
I
customizing.
know, man. They were the best. That's why I like them so much. I couldn't believe just the amount. They had the hand clamps. Uh,
Yeah.
just the amount of articulation and also
The ball jointed hips.
the aesthetics of it. The way
Yeah.
they did the shoulders, the way they looked, they were just really cool.
The way the
And
guns clipped into the back.
absolutely, yeah. Into the backpack, and I
Yeah.
definitely I think that was a Hasbro thing. That was definitely a cool kind of
Feature.
feature or addition where they clipped on to these like gas tank type jetpack type thing. And these guys definitely don't have that backpack on. Uh, but that's me just looking at the details and whatnot, right? uh, yeah. So they we get through it, and they realize that they're not on board. And then we also find out that Goldie's he's not really living up to um, what they want him to do. Ahsoka seems to trust him a lot, right?
Yeah, and I don't get I don't understand why. I guess like she always gives him the benefit of the doubt, and that maybe says something about Ahsoka's character. Where
Right.
Anakin's like, this dude's trying to kill me.
Yeah, I don't
He was
like him.
onto it right away.
Yeah, I don't like him from go, right?
Yeah.
And you have with you right now, this is not a custom, folks, but Brian would like to share the newest or one of the new figures from the
I guess the Disney Build-A-Droid.
that's right, the Disney
Let me
Build-A-Droid.
see if I can grab something to put it on to
And
make
what
it.
do you have? What do you have there? What
Oh,
is
these
that?
are like some of those old backgrounds that Hasbro used to put out in all the battle packs, and they were great for like making a little scene where. All right, so let me see if I can get this so it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good
But
right
yeah,
there. That's great. I was glad they did this, and I'm surprised they haven't Disney Build-A-Droid, that whole program, whatever they have going on at the parks. I'm surprised they haven't done more Clone Wars paint jobs. If you guys are listening, great job so far, but man, get some more Clone Wars oriented paint jobs. There's so many you can choose from. You're going to be making money for days, forever,
oh yeah,
forever.
I
If
agree.
if you keep up paint schemes like this Goldie, because that looks sharp. I don't actually have that character, but there were a couple more, weren't there? There was Ahsoka's droid.
Yeah, I got that one too. There was a few that I felt were like the Clone Wars ones. I tried to grab.
Yeah, but I would be blown away if they did like D Squad. You know, that's the big one. D Squad. And we'll get to those later on. That was awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I love that background. That's so cool. Well, look
I
at
have
that shirt.
I have every background from
Yeah.
every like
What's going on in
vehicle
that
back.
shirt you got going on? What's that say on your shirt?
Oh, every great father teaches his children the ways of the Force.
That's totally cool. Where'd you get that?
I you know how Facebook has those T-shirt sales
Yeah.
that pop up every now and again in your
Right.
feed? That's where I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would love to make custom T-shirts. We've seen Darth Daddy here. He has actually made custom shirts that have spotlighted his customs, and he actually sent one to me. I'm actually not wearing it tonight, but they're totally cool. Just all of the different kind of screenshots and such that he has for his customs. He put them on a shirt, and they look great all the time. So I think you should keep wearing those and keep doing that, man. They're really great.
Yeah, I don't have that many. I made like a few for Elias for Christmas, and then since I made a few for him, I was like, man, these look kind of cool. I kind of want one for a few for myself. So I ended up putting a few of my favorite customs onto shirts. Just the pieces that I was proud of. I made like a few shirts for myself, and then I did the project that we did together. And when I
Yeah.
saw how cool yours looked, then I wanted one for myself too.
That's cool. Yeah, those are super nice. We will wear those later on in some of the other episodes. Sorry, I'm not wearing it tonight, but
Uh,
not prepared. But
yeah, I didn't wear mine either. I think I only have one more Clone Wars one because I
right.
think I wore the Krell. I think I wore.
The Sidious one that was cool.
I
I
wore
think
Sidious one.
Elias did.
Oh,
Elias did
Elias
the
did.
last episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he has one.
yeah. That's Brian's son, Elias. If you don't know, Darth Daddy and Elias, they are a team to be reckoned with. Yeah. So we'll move on to the rest of this episode. So here we have Goldie, and he's obviously sabotaging Anakin. And once they finally get Anakin back on board, we get to the next episode. So what we have here is the next fortune cookie. I thought this one was so hilarious. It says, "You hold onto friends by keeping your heart a little softer than your head." Yeah, they're even they're even rhyming at that point. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, Dave, thanks a lot. That's cool. So you're rhyming on us, man. Okay, great. It's like a little, cool fortune cookie, but a little strange. But anyway, that episode ends, and he's still holding out hope for R2. So we go into the next episode, and we actually have a custom to share for this one, and this one is called The Duel of the Droids. Okay, and in the Duel of the Droids, we go back to the listening post where Grievous is holding R2 captive. And, well, I should say Ganact brings him to Grievous on this station, and he's holding him captive. And another thing that we get is we get our first trooper with a name, and that's Denell. What did you think of Denell when we first got him?
Oh, I thought it was cool was that the first personalized clone trooper we got in action figure form?
I think Echo was the first, and
Okay.
then
He
Denell.
came really
But
shortly after. It was
yeah, but
basically one wave and then the next wave, but that was when waves used to like come out like right behind the other, like
right
one
on
right
top of
behind
each
the
other.
other.
Yeah,
It was like
unless
you have like
yeah,
like a couple month window, like
for
1 or 2 months, and then
right.
something else was right there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked Denell because he was he was a clone trooper. You could take his helmet off. He had unique deco. And now let's see here. if I can find him. Here is Skytop Station real fast. I'll show you that. So we have Skytop Station, and it kind of looks like the Death Star, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of Death Star in Cloud City if they, had one night of passion. This is the love child.
Yeah, right. Well, they were always about beautiful landscapes and whatnot, So I think we see the Death Star in intervals throughout the entire series. So we saw the Malevolence in the Malevolence arc, and we saw kind of a super weapon. Now we're seeing Skytop Station, and it's based on, and I guess this is starting to be kind of one of those things for me where I'm not sure if they are going with the Geonosians being the builders of the Death Star, or are they going with somebody else? Because we have Rogue One just around the corner, right?
I think the Geonosians are going to be the builders because you have that whole situation where we just found out that they're all gone in Rebels, and the whole, they've all disappeared. We don't know what happened to them. Maybe they're all on the Death Star still building the sucker.
Right.
Or maybe they're trying to keep things hush-hush about even it being in existence. Mm-hmm. So maybe they might have built it and now, they're sleeping with the fishes. I don't know.
Kill them all. Yeah.
Kill them all.
What he's referring to is in an episode of Rebels, and we actually see kind of a Macquarie style Skytop Station too, or a kind of a building station, star station in that Rebels episode too. I don't really have a screen capture for that right now, but
no, I didn't even know we were going to go in there, but
yeah, we definitely see something like that, and it's consistent with what Dave does. And so back with the Skytop Station, we finally get there, and here we have our first image. Well, I should say our second image, because I let you know that he was actually in Zero's. Was Zero's place like a palace or a nightclub, or what kind of place was Zero running there?
I think it was a nightclub, because they had the whole out. Remember when they landed outside first? It looked like the platform for a nightclub, and they had a band playing too. It might have been the Modal Nudes.
I think it was. I think it was for sure. So this guy I'm sharing, this guy's name is Punzignut, or, well, sometimes we pronounce it Punzignut, sometimes we pronounce it Punzignut. It depends. He is an Aquilish, and he kind of has this really cool jacket on. You're going to see him have a little bit bigger part down the road. We have kind of this funny little game going on between us where we're like, where's Punzignut? Where's Punzignut?
We're trying to get every scene we could find him in. He was in the movie though, wasn't he? The theatrical release.
Yes, he was in the
club.
This
isn't the first time we're seeing him, but
right. Yeah. So this is literally the second time we are seeing him, and there he is. He's running the kind of logistics and kind of the listening post. He's making sure everything's going on. Everything's running soundly, and as Ganact and R2 are walking into the station, we see this guy firsthand, and he's like, this droid can't see our secrets. He's definitely guarding a bunch of secrets that are on screen, and I'm guessing R2 could probably just look at it and kind of scan it, and he kind of blocks the screen when R2 rolls through. And what they're going to do is they're going to Grievous is going to basically find his secrets and find R2's secrets and try to exploit them for the Separatist army. But back to our friend Punzignut here. Like I said, we have a little game going where we go, where's Punzignut in this episode? And we try to look for him in almost every episode. And how many episodes has he been in, Brian? Have you counted the episodes, or?
I think it was at least I think our count probably got up to like 14 different episodes. And I know, like, you know, that one arc with Moralo Eval, Cad Bane,
Yes.
and Obi-Wan Kenobi when he's
Yeah,
in
there's like
disguise?
50 of them. There's like
Oh,
50.
yeah, there's like three of them talking together, and he's died in episodes as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's got like 9 lives, or there's so many people that look exact. He's almost like a clone.
Yeah, and that's the fun of it, folks. We like to look for this guy, one, because he's so exciting looking wise, and then it's just
Yeah.
fun to kind of poke fun at it. You know, that was the fun of the show. You can have fun and you can also be serious with it. That's kind of the line you walk with the show. If you're going into Clone Wars and you're going, I want it to be super serious, I want it to be for adults, you're gonna have trouble with it, because you got to kind of treat it like a child at heart. You got to be a child at heart when you're watching this show. I know I was, and you said that you did. You watched it with your son a lot, right? And you
Oh
just kind
yeah,
of
like
fell in love with it.
yeah, I think I got to watch the whole thing through a child's eyes and his reactions, and you do the follow-up conversations, and you know sometimes lasted a whole day because he was so into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to definitely where a lot of people were like complaining about like the D Squad episodes, like for me, he loved the D Squad episodes. He was only like what 5 years old, maybe 6.
Wow.
So he was like he was the audience that they were shooting for. So you're never gonna get a problem from me out of that. I mean that them playing to my son's age was perfectly okay with me. I got my episodes, you know, where Ahsoka took off like 4 Mando heads at once with her sabers. You know, I
Oh
think you
man,
know
I
Clone
can't wait
Wars
to
was
talk
nice
about those.
because
Yeah.
you know we get it's you have to learn to share. It's like in kindergarten, sharing is the first thing you learn. You have to share with the young kids, you have to share with your elders. It's a family experience, and as much as we would all like every episode to be totally focused on our desires and what we want out of Star Wars, we have to share.
Yeah. That's great. That is great advice. So while we're on a Punzignut here, I felt that I had to have this character. He was so unique. He is absolutely one of my favorite characters just because he looks so cool. And back in the day when I first saw this guy, I felt like I wanted to do a kind of a hybrid version of this character, and you actually own that version that I made.
Yeah.
I did
Well, I
make.
was such a big
I made
fan
a
of the character.
yeah, I made a custom of him. Yeah, he's very cool. Do you have that custom that you could
Yeah,
show
yeah.
us?
I'm gonna put him on that same background for now, and then I'll just do what I did with the Goldie.
So this is kind of a version of it, and I'll let Brian talk about it a little bit. It's kind of a hybrid version. So go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of thicker where like, you know, if you see him in the animated style, he has like more like a thinner body, thinner arms. But this one's cool because this one is actually specific to the episode that we're discussing right now because he actually has that microphone piece.
Yeah, he had all kinds of crazy things on him, didn't he? He had like a cloud car pilot helmet. He had
Yeah.
all this tech coming off his face, his helmet. He had these weird goggles on, and inside the goggles, he had like pop bottles, you know, that are more steampunk more than anything.
Yeah.
In looks wise, and then his jacket, very 70s, very cool looking, and yeah, there's a version of
Let me try to get
something
him
I
big.
did.
There we go.
Gosh, when did I do that? I think I did that back in
I think this is in the
2009.
first batch of customs I ever bought from you. I think
Yeah.
I got them for like Elias's, I want to say like his 5th birthday or something like that.
Hmm.
Like, you know, like a good, like I've been buying, maybe 6th. I mean, I could look it up on the blog
Yeah.
and I could tell you exactly when because we did a spotlight on it. But I remember it was like October and Elias was tiny then. He was a really little kid back then.
Hmm. Yeah, he turned out pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there he is, and I've since done another version of him. I jump back and forth. You know, the discussion about would Hasbro, if they made characters like that, would they make them like this? Do you think, or do you think they would make it more animated to kind of go along with the the previous?
Original line.
Yeah, right.
I come from the camp where I'm afraid that we're never going to see any Clone Wars characters again. The same way we're probably never going to see another Droids action figure again,
Right.
or another action figure from Ewoks.
Right.
It's just it's in the past. They're moving forward. Maybe we'll get a one-off figure years and years down the road, but it'll probably be a main character. And we're never going to see a Pon Krell. I don't think we'll ever see a Bo-Katan. So, and which is, as a customizer, that's the excitement of now you could like go there and you don't have to worry about Hasbro releasing it a week after you finish.
Right.
Um,
I
it's
know.
a free
I've
for
run
all
into
at this
that.
point. It's like you look at these episodes, the reason why we have so few customs, Hasbro made almost every single character that appear in these episodes except for Boone Zignon. Like they made Goldie, they made Ahsoka was made, Grievous was made, they made the battle droids, they made the droidekas, they made the super battle droids, Anakin, Obi-Wan,
Janelle was back
Hell,
there. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So it's like the Rex was made. So eh, these are like these episodes are episodes that you could totally recreate just with what Hasbro gave us. And I find that it happens somewhat frequently in some of the arcs um, within the first few seasons. After season 3, I don't think we ever got any new characters in action figure form.
Right. Well, they got to him eventually. The 2012 collection. I had the Anakin, had the phase 2 clone trooper and whatnot. But I tend to agree with you. I think there's too much red tape when it comes to Clone Wars. That's why you're hearing us talking about it, folks. Um, I think just the mere red tape that's holding it back. The whole idea that Clone Wars was being broadcasted by essentially Turner, which is TNT. Is the CW in that camp, or it's definitely
the Cartoon Network.
The Cartoon Network was in it, but
a direct competitor to Disney's own network, and especially
right.
the Disney XD. So when it comes down to it, once they bought it, why would they start making products that would be like Coke promoting Pepsi? You're not gonna promote your competitor. You're not gonna put out product that's gonna make people run to your competitor. So I think that's why ultimately we lost the Clone Wars, and I think maybe 10 years from now, once whatever type of contracts are signed, for Cartoon Network to have exclusivity or any type of rights that they would have as a vendor, or I think once that passes and Disney's in a position where they could profit from it again without having to pay out their competitor, there's a chance that maybe we can, get some more love for the Clone Wars again. But until then, there's no logic in it.
Like I said, red tape. Too much red tape. Too much red tape. Oh boy, yeah, that's where I'm at, and that's why I just continue to want to talk about it, or the desire to talk about it, simply because such a great show, and that one thing, which makes total sense. Total sense. Thanks for sharing that perspective with us, because I feel the same way. I feel like it was another company. Why would the number one animator go, we're not going to share somebody else's animation, or we're going to make our own stuff. And that's ultimately why Rebels came along, I assume.
And maybe why all the characters as well have a somewhat different look than we were accustomed, to. Like Ahsoka doesn't look like Ahsoka. Um, everybody looks a little different than they used to. Maul.
Yeah.
It's that, they had to put the Disney version of that character, for marketing purposes, I would assume.
Yeah, I agree. So here we are back at Punzignut, and he is blocking all the information that he doesn't want R2 to have. I'll tell you something I really wish that they made for this episode. During this time, like I said, they're going to tear R2 apart, and they're going to try to steal his secrets because his mind was never wiped. And let me try to get that. Let me try to get this image up that I would really like to share.
R2 in pieces.
Yeah, I
saw when I saw that, I was like, wow, that would be a cool custom to make. Like,
I had this idea,
the eye kind of detached and head off, and we have to remember to plug our Poon Zignot Facebook page too.
Yeah, we'll do that here in a moment. Let me just try to get this up. Sorry, folks. I'm just trying to pull it up real fast. So what I'm trying to pull up for us is kind of what we're just talking about. They did this whole thing where R2 was disassembled, and they put him on this, like, what would you call it, like an operating table or something?
Yeah, definitely.
And I thought that this thing would have been just so cool as a toy, where they had the table and it had changeable arms and or movable arms, and there's the R2, laying on the table. Oh man, that to me would have been one of the coolest. Like, would you call it a play set? Would you call it a battle pack of some sort? I know back in the day they were talking about battle packs and whatnot, and how awesome some of them were, with all
that could have worked well in like a mini rig.
Yeah, right. I
type box,
I just so appreciate that, and just really wish we had a chance to get something like this in their collection, because it just would have been amazing.
If we could just make that internal housing, that inner cage, that's the most difficult thing to make there, because you could just take out a Build-A-Droid and hollow that with a Dremel,
right?
And then you could have that cage slip in, because you'd still have the areas where the legs could attach without issue.
Yeah,
it would just be making that hollow area, and then something that the head could snap into, and you can make the eye magnetic, so that could like shift right back into place if you needed to, and just have it like attached with like threads to mimic wire.
Right. Yeah. What an amazing thing that set would have been if we could have done something like that. But let's get back to the episode. So I did say we would try to go a little faster. I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing so good, but we'll try to make them. We'll try to move them along. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if you want to give us feedback and give us a like, give us a thumbs up, of course, not a thumbs down. We would certainly appreciate that, and you can also.
Or if you did give a thumbs down, at least let us know so we can improve later.
Yeah, you tell us how you want us to improve. If you think that maybe it's boring or you're not liking it, help us. What do you want to see? You want to see some more? You want to see a lot more customs? Do you want to see fewer customs? Do you? I don't know. Just let us know. You can also subscribe on Customs for the Kids page on his Google Plus page, and just like I said, give us some likes. and we will move on from there. What we have after we meet Punzignut, we move on to, like I said, one of the first clone troopers was Danelle, and he had a really cool backpack, a jetpack, and everything. His helmet came off. He was the full deal, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was nice because he the first clone that we got that had the removable helmet.
Like I said, it was Echo, but
Oh, Echo too. Yeah.
this guy, you know, Dave was definitely funny about naming everybody. You listen to the different names in the backgrounds, or they have some kind of line or something. You're like, oh yeah, that guy is dead. And believe it or not, Danelle made it out of this episode, which is which is awesome. And we see him later on, but he eventually gets killed. So towards the
Maybe we
end,
got the thumbs down because we have to give too many spoilers.
oh boy, yeah, spoiler alert. We're gonna be spoiling this whole thing, folks.
Yeah, this is a spoiler-heavy show.
Yeah, this is a way spoiler-heavy show. We are celebrating, like I said, reminiscing about the past. A show that is still on Netflix. Oh, I tell you, Brian, I'm gonna be sad when it goes off Netflix. I just don't know what I'll do, because I just like that feeling of having it available whenever I want. I can just pull up Netflix on my phone. I can pull it up on any TV in the house. There's Clone Wars. Bam. You know, the whole series. It's going to be crazy when it eventually goes away. And who knows, you know, the way they work on Netflix these days, you never know.
I have all my discs like right underneath the TV behind me for all the Clone Wars seasons. Any Star Wars related DVD, Blu-ray, it's all right there under the lava lamp.
The arsenal.
Yeah. I've got like, my encyclopedia.
Yep.
My episode guide. I even have my Art of the Clone Wars handy at all times.
Yep. I have all those books too, and those are great resources. I'm actually pulling information from those books myself. I have the episode guide right here, and you'll notice that we're not doing it in the chronological order. Talking about the episodes, we will be doing it the way they came out. Unfortunately, man, would I love to have the full series in order with the theatrical.
Oh, in a box set?
In a box set, yeah. And everything is intact.
Nice.
What I'm talking about is some of these episodes are out of order. And if you've ever took the time to watch them in order, it's really exciting. Have you done that yet?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made sure I did.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool.
I've made it through. I've probably made it through. I've seen every episode probably 3 to 4 times with my kid because he's always watching.
Yeah, I've seen Star Wars 500 times. It's like the Clone Wars. Yeah, I've seen them too. I can recite different lines of the Clone Wars, different episodes and stuff. I love all their witty banter. It's very cool. It's very cool.
Especially between Kenobi and Ventress.
Oh, for sure, man. I kind of wish they got together. I don't know why. I just really wish they got together.
Yeah, Quinlan Voss beat him to it.
Oh, I know. He really did. Dark Disciple, man, I would love to see that in a show. Oh, man.
Oh, me too. Just for the sake of Quinlan Voss, like to get a little more than that Hunt for Zero, that would have been his. Those were his episodes to really shine.
He was a great character, and we'll definitely talk about him when we get to one of our favorite episodes. That's the Hunt for Zero, and he's just great in that. But this image that I have up right now, can you see that image?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I wish I could share the sound because I'm just not that technically ready to do that yet. I'm just a kind of an artist guy, but they're playing like this sweet little music the whole time through the first episode, Downfall of a Droid. They give you this like techno music and like this dance music. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
It was
Yep.
really kind of out of place, don't you think? I mean, in my opinion, I felt like it was out of place compared to what they normally play.
It was an adjustment because, you know, we were so used to John Williams music,
Mm-hmm.
and Clone Wars really broke us out of that mindset because the music really went all over the place. Like when you had Hondo, you had like, you know, music that was from India, or um, you know, like this episode, you had that electronic based music. The music kind of jumped around and became a lot more varied than our familiar experience.
Mm-hmm. And this episode here is no exception. Like, I feel like this is where it turned around. You know, they kept playing that techno all through the show and stuff, that little kind of dance riff, din, 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 din. And then right here, this is where R2, that's actually R2, his, you know, arc, his lightning arc, you know, beating up,
Zapping him in the eye.
zapping him in the eye, and like the music during this point is, it just turns around completely. It's like and it just it brings me just right back into it, you know. It not that I didn't like the little, I guess they played that music for R2, you know. It was more of like an R2 centric episode, so they had,
Oh yeah, these are our two episodes for
yeah,
sure.
electronic music. But when he's battling this droid, it just brings you right back into it when they kind of the music at the end, kind of the crescendo.
This was a really cool episode for Ahsoka too. Like this is one of the first times you see her on her own with a team, and she went and she took on Grievous by herself, and she didn't do half bad. Like she saved Rex's life. Rex almost bit it. Like she jumped and she blocked, you know, Grievous's lightsaber from taking Rex out, and you know, she you know held her own, and I thought that was a pretty cool episode. These were kind of the episodes where it really starts kicking high into like girl power, and I
Yeah.
think you're going to see in the next couple episodes that keep coming. Um, it's going to be a really nice run of what Clone Wars gave us, which was like real girl power centric episodes that I thought were great because there's nothing I appreciate more than creating a medium that's only going to create more fangirls.
I agree. I love the female characters of the show. That whole like, this is a boys' toy type of thing, and girls don't sell. That's all hooey to me, man. It really is. I like.
I feel the same way.
I like the girls more almost. I try to make every girl that has not been made, especially from the Clone Wars. But
That's been our motto in the house too. Like we're always about make male characters. That's why we got did Talzin, the Night Sisters, and Ione Marcy.
that level of equality, I suppose, right?
Yeah, it's the beautiful thing about the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Well, you got to have somebody fight Grievous, right? You can't have Anakin fight him, right?
No.
and Rex is not going to fight him, and because he got knocked down, and so Ahsoka really stepped up. I think this was her show. You even see her at the end, and she's like riding the head of like one of the droid ships. What are the droid ship? What are those called?
Oh, they called them
right
the
now.
droid. The ones that came down, they were almost exactly like the ones from the episode where they were crushing the pods. They're just that, you know, they were in the crushed motion, they came down and then they opened up, as opposed to like going in and then crushing something.
Oh, a droid fighter. That's what I'm talking about. A droid
I
fighter.
thought you were talking about the thing that. Oh, I'm thinking the thing from Cloak of Darkness.
No.
Eli started watching other episodes today.
That
That
is a crusher. That is a crusher, though. We'll get into that too.
Yeah.
They they utilize, because it's an animated show, you're gonna find that they utilize
Some of
different
the same
things,
assets.
some of the same assets for different things. I was telling you about that. The carbon freezing chamber is the turbo lift for Bounty, and we'll get into that later on down the road. I can't wait until we get to some of these things. We're gonna go, oh yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
That's that thing. No, I was referring to just the droid fighters. She jumps onto it and knocks the head off of it and everything. And she's
I think that battle, that lightsaber battle between Ahsoka and Grievous, I thought that was more exciting than the Obi-Wan Grievous battle that we saw on Utapau.
Yeah, it was good.
It was really good. I mean, the exciting thing about Utapau is when he's spinning the lightsabers, but outside of that, this Ahsoka Grievous lightsaber battle was way better.
Clone Wars was super exciting. It maybe too exciting sometimes. Maybe that's why some I don't know what you call them, purists, the people that didn't like Clone Wars as much. Maybe it was too exciting. Maybe it trumped. Maybe for lack of a better word, maybe it trumped. The movies, and maybe that wasn't cool, but I certainly liked it.
I agree.
Yeah. So let's move on here. I'm going to get back to where we were, hopefully. Sorry, folks. I was going to share real fast my custom that I did of the animated, what I would call an animated version of Punzignut. And I've recently done this. And this one is actually for Defenders of Peace. And we'll get into that soon. But this is the same character. Once again, we're seeing him and, in all of his glory, he's got his helmet on. He's got the goggles going, and he's got what I affectionately call his Mork and Mindy jacket.
What did you build him out of?
Various parts. The lower legs here, I'm sure you can tell those are Embo.
Yep.
There. And then the rest of the body, gosh, what was that? I believe the rest of the body was like an Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
Because I went and got that Obi-Wan from the Mortis arc. I got them on eBay somewhere where there was a whole bunch of them.
Oh, Sino dolls, the way he does like 5 Obi-Wans in one shot.
Right. I got a whole bunch. eBay is definitely a source for all of our customizing needs these days, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
And I just try to get as many, whether it's animated body parts or regular type of body parts, to make a different thing. But the head is completely hand sculpted, hand made out of green stuff, and what we use, it's called Procreate. It's very similar to green stuff, where it's a 2-part epoxy. You're actually putting them together. You're squeezing 2 different color materials together, and they there's like a chemical kind of reaction to make it get to the point where it needs to go. And the work time on Procreate is a little different than green stuff. Green stuff, it seems like
you get more life.
Yeah, you get more life out of it. Procreate, it's the gray. I call it the gray stuff. It gives you less time, maybe an hour to 2 hours of work time if you need it to sculpt what you're looking for. But the head is a series of both green stuff and the
Procreate.
The Procreate.
What about the arms? Are those the Obi-Wan too?
No, the arms were just sculpted. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next episode. Well, what happens is they find out that Goldie is the traitor. Grievous obviously gets his hand cut off and everything, and they get out of there. So we're going to move on to our last episode. Hopefully we have enough time, because we've certainly we've certainly
Went
talked
longer
about
than
those.
we thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
longer than we thought. We'll try to get through this last episode pretty quick. This is the Jar Jar episode, if you will. It's called Bombad Jedi, or is it Bombad Gungan?
That could go at length on this episode.
Yeah.
Only
So
because, this one kind of toys with the whole Jar Jar impersonating a Jedi. And
yeah.
I don't know if did you ever see that YouTube video that came out not too long ago, right around when The Force Awakens released, about Jar Jar being a Sith?
Yeah, I thought that was just silly. I'm sorry.
Well, Ahmed Best
Uh,
basically confirmed it, and George said that was his original intent for the character, but because there was such a backlash, he had to reduce his role in the storyline. And it's
yeah.
funny, as like I'm watching this episode, he's communicating with creatures the same way Ezra does.
Hmm.
He is, still having all these accidental perfect shots. And it's almost like he is a drunken master, and he's downplaying, his abilities at all times.
Yeah.
Because we saw toward the end, when you're in the last season of Clone Wars, he's more determined, and it's not he's not winning his fights accidentally. He's actually on the attack.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole time I was watching this episode, I have that going on in the back of my head about Jar Jar really being a Sith, and
Yeah. I definitely think that there was definitely that point where
he destroyed the ship so Amidala couldn't get away. So it would have made it easier for the Separatists to have her. I
right.
don't know, man. He just happened to do everything right the whole episode long.
I don't know if I'm convinced. I don't know if I'm convinced,
I
but
can never watch Jar Jar the same again. I'm always going to look at it through the Sith lens from now on.
yeah. Well, I there. You never know. You never know. Look at Darth Maul. Where is he gonna go from here? Where we have him at this point? Where Darth Maul is at this point. Where is he gonna go? You never know. Could Jar Jar come back? Would they even go there? I know Disney.
I don't think they would. I
Yeah.
think Jar Jar will never hear from ever again. He's been put out to pasture.
Yeah, there was even. What's funny there? If you've seen the
Unless he shows up on Rebels.
yeah. If you've seen the art of the Force Awakens, there is an image, and I unfortunately don't have it in here, of a kind of a gambling arena. Maybe Maz Kanata's place was going to be a gambling arena, and they had every head on the wall that was a fierce creature in the original trilogy. So you had like the Dianoga on there. You had the Wampa head. You had the Rancor head. The Pit of Carcoon was up there, and then right in the center of them, smack in the center of them, is Jar Jar's head. If you ever get a chance to check it out, it's totally cool. It's there. Somebody drew it, but there's all kinds of levels of we can't do that. We want to do that, but we're definitely not going to do that. But let's get into this episode really fast. I'm going to share this, the fortune cookie, and it says, heroes are made by the times. And I'm assuming they're talking about Jar Jar, because like you said, he's the drunken master, or he's the doofus that comes out on top in the end. He always seems to come out on top. And in this episode, we see him and Padme and 3PO. They go to Rhodia to see another character that we would like to see made. And this is a picture of Padme's ship going to Rhodia, and we meet the main Rhodian character, and his name is Ondaconda Far. And we'll get into him later because, unfortunately, believe it or not, neither of us have made this character.
Ever since we started talking on the phone about him this afternoon,
Yeah.
I'm already like Hondo lower legs, like sculpt in a belt, or and then using the Monkey Man from Indiana Jones for
Yeah,
the.
do you have him by chance sitting around?
Yeah,
I have him
give me 1
downstairs.
second.
Great. What he is talking about, folks, is the jacket of this character. You can use an Indiana Jones character called the Monkey Man, and his coat's already set. It's like I was talking about last episode, where you can kind of kit bash it together. You can just throw the coat on. You don't necessarily have to paint it or anything. It's ready to
You do
go.
have to cut it, I think.
You have to cut it. Yeah, you have to make it look like the shape. And do you have that available, or?
Yeah, let me just. Yeah, I could probably grab the upper arms from that figure and the actual cloak up to.
So what you're seeing here is this is an Indiana Jones figure from the Raiders of the Lost Ark line, and the coat is essentially perfect, for this, and the arms are not half bad either.
Yeah, the only thing is his arms like look different as his cuff like gets tight as it gets closer to his arms. So you'd probably have to make some adjustments there with the Dremel to basically taper it down to the wrists, and then you're gonna have to do a repaint from the elbow, from probably the elbow down after you sculpt there. But it's a shortcut for sure.
Right.
Definitely a shortcut.
Thanks. So here we are. We have who's an old Padme, and they're on, and he basically tells Padme that they went and had a deal with the Separatists because they weren't getting any attention from the Republic, and that I couldn't imagine what that would be like if your president or your government was on another planet. You know what I'm saying? I guess I would be shocked if I didn't get any support from my people. How do you feel? How do you feel? You said you wanted to talk about this episode in length, or you want to pick up right there?
Oh, well, I mean, I talked a bit about the whole Jar Jar. The parts I thought were cool, like, were Padme. I thought it was hilarious. Like, there's this scene, I'll show you really quick, where when she's captured, she actually, like, goes as far as, like, curling herself up, and let me just, while it's still on you, I'll pull this up. And I just got to get the camera over to me. Boom, boom, and then back to this. Okay, so Padme curls herself up where she pulls her like ankles up above her head, and then you find out that let's see if I could. Whoa. Okay.
Like a ninja.
Yeah, and then she goes and where's the episode 3? Okay, and then she ends up taking this lockpick up out of her boot, and I couldn't help but think of Attack of the Clones, because she had to use some kind of she had that hairpin that she ended up getting her hands free when they're in the Geonosian battle arena, and she's handcuffed to the pole. And I'm like, that's hilarious. This chick's carrying this lockpick around with her in her boot, no matter where she goes. Like, she's going to visit a family friend, and she's still preparing herself for potentially being handcuffed.
Yeah, she's like MacGyver.
Yeah.
Or something, right?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, another character that we see in this episode is Newt Gunray, and I was super ticked we didn't get that character. I really I really wanted to have a Newt Gunray, and this is definitely another character. Just real fast, I have a picture of the crab droid up, and I know we did get the crab droid in the Clone Wars series, but not really like this. It was. Wouldn't you say it was a little different, or it felt
Yeah,
different?
well, it had two extra legs.
Yeah,
Those only have four,
right.
where the ones that they released as toys had
Yeah.
six.
And what I really wanted to show, if you have are you seeing this picture here?
Yeah,
The guns on the bottom of
are
this
different.
are those they're very similar to those guns that the super battle droid came with.
Yeah,
And if I ever get around to making this thing, I would really like to have one that looks like this, that looks like the crab droid.
yeah, because they had just a single large gun under
Mm.
the toy,
Yeah,
so to have those two thinner, smaller double barrel.
it didn't have the character that this one did.
Yeah,
And by the time we got to episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, it was all teeny. You see a clone trooper jump on top of it and just fire its gun into it. It was almost like it was half the size of what this is. This one is huge, and I really love this episode simply because of the beauty of Rhodey.
design.
Yeah, the design uh, for what they have going on there. But let's see here, what else we got. Get back to that, and once we leave uh, all the antics of Jar Jar, do you want to touch upon Jar Jar at all during that time? You were saying that
Um,
he destroyed the ship. You think that's intentional, huh?
well, I'm just saying I'm not saying for sure it was, but if you want to play into that, he was a secret Sith agent for Palpatine, the man on the inside.
Right.
Screw things up along the way, but do what you need to when you need to.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I just think it was interesting that he was able to communicate with that creature the same way Ezra or Anakin. Anakin, what was it, the Reek when he was in the
Right.
battle arena,
Right.
and Obi-Wan when he was on Kamino, he communed with that creature that lived under the ocean,
Hmm.
that flew him up out of the sea and brought him back to Kamino, and Ezra with that. What was that? What were the name of those creatures on that asteroid with him and
Oh,
Kanan when they ended
fear
up fighting the
nuts.
Inquisitor?
They're
Yeah, the
called
Mirnox.
fear
Yeah,
nuts.
so yeah,
They fear they
this is a
fear nuts.
situation where you
Yes.
have
Mhm.
Jar Jar communing with a large creature and using it was it could maybe he was using the Force, maybe he wasn't, but I've always thought of Jar Jar as a Force user.
Hmm.
No,
Yeah. Yeah. We talked
nothing
about
could
that a
be
little bit,
if
didn't
you're
we?
a klutz, you wouldn't be have the accuracy and clumsy, with clumsiness that Jar Jar has.
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah,
could be true.
you could take him for the idiot if you want, but you could read more into it and you might get more out of it.
Hmm. That's definitely a different perspective for sure. Um, but
Did you ever see the
I
video? I'm
don't
going to
know.
send it to you. It's really convincing.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
have
see
seen
it?
the video. I
There's more than one. There's one that's better than others.
I hear you. I hear you.
You're like whatever.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And that's the funny thing, guys. We all have our own opinions.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. You can have your own opinion, and it's fun to do whatever you need to do
Yeah.
to decide what's going on. Who even knows what Snoke is all about? Let's not even get into that. right?
Yeah, 'cause some of us don't even care what Snoke's all about. They just
Yeah.
don't like Snoke.
Luke is Snoke, and Kylo Ren is Luke, and Snoke is Luke's son, or who knows? Who
I think
knows?
Snoke just like he was just an unused character design from Lord of the Rings trilogy or something. I don't. He
You
just
never know.
doesn't look Star Wars to me.
You never know. Well, let's get back to this episode real fast. And we have once again we have Uncle Anno, and we also have his name is Salud, and this is the third guy that I was talking about. There was Salud, there was Punzignut, and there was Ganact, and they were all in Zero's club. And later on,
That's interesting.
later on in some of the episodes, you're gonna see this guy's name changed to Taquito. Taquito of all things. But you will see this character again several times.
This is the first time I've ever noticed him
Is that right?
until yeah.
Yeah,
I never noticed him in Zeros. I never even knew I'd ever see him. I never recognized him until I guess we started talking about him. I'm like, oh yeah, there was a guy talking to Uncle Anno.
Yeah.
But I never knew that he appeared in other episodes.
Yeah.
Never noticed.
You'll see him again. But here at the end of the episode, Newt Gunray's trying to get away, and we have the worm or whatever it is, and the art or the design of this creature comes from Macquarie and his art for Dagobah. Like, this thing was supposed to actually be on Dagobah. Did you know that?
Wow. Never knew that.
Yeah, a lot of things are inspired by Ralph McQuarrie. He's just an amazing artist, I feel. And this worm here is he eventually just jumps up on this ship and pushes it into the water so Newt Gunray can't get away. And man, would this have been a great ship to have. It's small in size. It would have been awesome. It's that Separatist cruiser.
Yeah.
I don't have the name offhand, but yeah, it's definitely a cool ship. I really wish we got one of those. That would have been very cool. What do you think?
I would have taken any ship other, extra than, or, more than what we've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like, I love just more, more interesting ships. So
Right. Yeah.
I would have taken it.
Yeah. And then we also know that 3PO in this episode, he actually contacted the Republic. So they sent troops down. And we actually see for the first time Commander Gree, who we know gets his head chopped off. Spoiler alert.
He does?
In Revenge of the Sith. In Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, yeah, by Yoda.
Yes, by Yoda. None other than Yoda. Loda. That's funny.
I think Yoda. It was pretty funny that they teamed up the most annoying character from the original trilogy with the most annoying character from the prequel trilogy by putting C-3PO and Jar Jar together.
That is kind of funny.
Because when you think about it, C-3PO was the Jar Jar of the original trilogy.
Yeah, or he was just kind of yeah, he was, wasn't he?
He was.
That is kind of funny.
People didn't like him at first.
I thought it was a great episode. You just have to like it, and sorry if you didn't like the Jar Jar.
I like both the characters. So.
Yeah, they're cool. They're all cool. And 3PO actually in this episode, he does his little, he sends the battle droids away, kind of like he did in the Death Star, where he goes, they're heading for the detention cell. You can catch them there,
Yeah.
He does that same thing in this.
Yeah, that was cute.
Where he sends them away for a little bit, and then they come back, and he's like, "Oh, I guess you didn't find them, huh?"
And then I realized you didn't show your Magna Guards in the last Duel of the Droids.
Yeah, I just have that one Magna Guard. Maybe I'll
save it for later.
Yeah, we'll save it for later. Right. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's it. Those are the 3 episodes we wanted to talk about, and like I said, not a lot of customs this time around, simply because we don't have a lot for those episodes, and Hasbro
gave it to us all. You know, when it comes down to it,
for the most
Hasbro
part.
gave us everything if we wanted to recreate those episodes, Hasbro gave us the toys to do it.
No
Now,
Nuke Gunray. No Nuke
no
Gunray.
Nuke Gunray, no Boone Zignot, and we would have liked them both. And you know, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We'll definitely be talking about some of the other episodes where we have a lot of characters. We
They're
may
coming
even
up.
talk. Yeah, we might even talk about like 1 or 2 episode simply because we have so many
Customs.
Right.
Yeah, I
S-
think now we kind of got out of the area where we don't have much. I think going forward, it's just going to be that's when the customs really start rolling in.
yeah, the customs are going to start rolling in. So next time on episode 4, we're going to be talking about Cloak of Darkness, Lair of Grievous, and I think we'll just talk
We'll
about
might
those
just do
two.
those two, right?
Yeah, because we want to try to make it a little shorter. I know we ran just as long as we've run before. We just love to just go on and on and on about Clone Wars. And sorry, folks, we'll get a little bit more tight as we go along. We're just learning how to do this. We're hopefully giving you insightful stuff that maybe you want to watch it again. Maybe you want to revisit Clone Wars over and over again, and maybe watch these episodes right after you hear this episode. You could just maybe get something out of it like we do. I certainly get a lot out of just revisiting them and kind of seeing the little things that Dave puts in there, little Easter eggs or whatnot. I really enjoy going through these episodes and talking with you folks, and I certainly enjoy having you along with me, Brian. So let's end it there. And we will certainly see you next time in episode 4. Is it episode 4? Already episode 4, folks. Yeah. For those of you who have joined us for every single episode, thank you. It means a lot to us. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So is there anything you'd like to add to that before we leave?
No, I'm in good shape.
Okay. Well, if you are looking for me, I am, of course, Peak Obi-Wan Customizer at large on Facebook, Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations. And you can find me also on the forums at Yakface and Imperial Shipyards. And you can also find me at Clone Wars Custom Figures on Facebook. Where can we find you, Brian?
Pretty much everywhere you would need to find me. You could find me over at www.customsforthekid.blogspot.com. Customs is plural, kid is singular. And then you could get all the links you need to get to Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Everything's in the sidebar, so you could just grab all that from there. And that's all you need to know. Look forward to seeing you all next time on episode number 4.
Okay, thanks a lot. This is Customizing the Clone Wars. Have a good night, everybody.
May the Force be with you.